Oh, the ancient artifact that no one must ever find? The one that would doom humanity if that vampire ever found it? Yeah, I locked it in a steel box and launched it into the sun. Even if it didn't get destroyed, there's no way that Undead Lord is ever getting it back. The former heroes of the rebellion, now nascent leaders of the new empire, looked around at each other uneasily. You did, what? General Storm asked, rubbing at his newly healed ear, which constantly itched, no matter how often the cleric said it shouldn't. I launched it into the sun, Cladis repeated. In a steel box, just to be certain it wouldn't somehow fall out along the way. Emperor Rufus, he of prophecy, the chosen one, warrior of light, and a dozen other titles besides, leaned forward on the table. I think he means how, Cladis, a question I absolutely need answered as well. The Blood Moon Crown was somewhat instrumental to slaying Dementor. Before he somehow got brought back as a vampire, of course. The rest of the table gave a collective shudder at the reminder. Their fighting against Dementor and the Council of Night had taken them a week, and when the Black Palace had crumbled to pieces, Rufus and the others had barely gotten clear before being buried in the rubble. Dementor should have been buried as well, but he'd made a point of draining an entire hamlet and posing their bodies in a message exactly 1 year later. Cladis sighed and leaned back, conjuring a ball of ice and rolling it about on the table. Yes, the bloody crown protected you from the former emperor's dark magic. But, let a vampire wear it, and it magnifies the vitality they gain from draining blood 100-fold. Benefiah warned you that when you took the crown, she wasn't going to put it under her protection again, and if the goddess of light and health wasn't going to protect it, then it was just a matter of time. Glaicine, the cleric of said goddess, and the one who'd healed Storm's ear, slapped a hand on the table. That's the why, not the how. I know you went through Dementor's spellbook after. Oh no, Cladis said, letting the ball of ice roll across the table. No dark magic whatsoever. He cleared his throat as everyone glared at him. Well, I had been looking at some way to deal with it even before Dementor revealed his new in death. So, I started by very carefully putting a plug into a volcano. What do you mean you? Winifred, the artificer of the heroes, asked. One eye seemed unusually large, courtesy of the monocle attached to one side of her helmet. I built it. You just asked. Yes. Well, with Winifred's help, we plugged up a volcano. The one on that island off the coast of Nagrange? Storm nodded. Where we got the magma cloak, while Rufus and Glaicine were negotiating with the centaur herds. Cladis nodded. The very same. Atop the plug, I used stone shaping to build a funnel, inside of which I placed several air elementals. Atop that, the steel box. I then summoned several fire, earth, and lava elementals, and had them push up the pressure and heat beneath the plug. It crumbled into the funnel, putting pressure on the air elementals. Until eventually, it shot out like the cork on a bottle of Breen's bubbly. Before all this, I spent a week doing the calculations. And I am quite certain that the box should impact the sun. He sat back again and nodded firmly. Rufus steepled his fingers. What if it doesn't? Even on the small chance that I am wrong, or that Helerion takes offense to me launching it into his domain, reaching the very sun is a feat that would take a century or more without active magic. By the time it returned, we will all have gone to our graves, one way or another. Why are you so worried about it? I checked every variable several times. Wordlessly, Emperor Rufus leaned over next to his chair, and picked up a steel box, half melted and covered in scorch marks. Gee, why would I possibly be concerned, he deadpanned. Winifred leaned over, clicking another lens into place in front of her monocle. Test box number 4. That's where you went. Number 4? Rufus asked. Cladis nodded. Surely you didn't think I would make a single attempt? We had to plug the volcano 8 times to get it to work properly. As I said, there is no danger of Dementor getting his pale, bloodless fingers on it. Cladis nodded firmly again. Several thousand miles away. Master? Should we be worried about that? The fledgling vampire asked, pointing towards the distant glowing dot in the sky, where no star had been before. Silence, minion, Dementor said, backhanding him into a wall. The petty flickering of the stars mean nothing. My prophecy has yet to be fulfilled, and I. The boom rattled the walls of the fishing village the former emperor and his 2 new thralls had been feasting upon. Said thralls stared in shock, waving away the dust blown up by the explosion, only to see their master's corpse turning to ashes, courtesy of the glowing hot steel box embedded in the road that had passed clearly through his head. Welds along one side of the box gave way, and an untouched crown set with a dozen rubies rolled out, and bumped into the foot of the thrall still massaging his jaw.